Up next, we're sitting down with a financial expert for more on what it means for your money, your 401k, and ways to handle it next. It was finally a good trading day on the Chinese markets after what many would consider chaos. Over the past few days, there's been a lot of panic with fears of slowing down with the Chinese economy. Chinese stocks fell 7% yesterday, and trading was suspended just 30 minutes after opening. That sparked a free fall on our own markets. In Wall Street, the Dow closed down nearly 400 points. Today, a little bit of a different story. The Shanghai Composite Index closed up at least 2%. Which is good news. And we've got Holly Signorelli, who is a CPA and financial advisor. Holly, we want to talk about how this relates to us, to our 401ks, to our stocks and our investment. People get scared when they hear this kind of news.
Right, and people act on their emotions. So my experience with my practice and my friends that are financial advisors is that there's always a percentage of the population that when something else is going on somewhere else, we panic. And a lot of people then want to sell or just put everything into cash temporarily. And unfortunately, that actually contributes to the stock market continuing to go down. And if you think about since 2008, when things really got rough, we had the European crisis, Greece issues, we lost our AAA rating, and yet even though the stock market's been crazy, it still has increased since 2008 if you look at the Dow Jones.
A lot of the folks who are watching this are those who rely solely on their retirement money. And they're afraid that their retirement money is going to be gone. How can you speak to that?
Well, it's interesting because it kind of depends on what generation you're talking to, because the generation now that are retired came from the Depression or right after that, and they are really afraid to spend money. So the good thing is they have savings. They always save from every single check from the time they were working, but a lot of times they don't want to spend it, and they spend a great deal of time being very fearful. It's the people that are retired now that usually you have to hold their hand and really talk them through it. And it's really just an emotion that comes from something that they truly experienced. It was real, and they don't want to go through that again. And it's normal to think it's going to happen again, but you don't want to make financial decisions based on emotions. There's a difference between following your gut and knowing that, okay, I'm not supposed to do this or I'm supposed to do this, but you have to be more logical when it comes to making decisions about your money.
Is it true, Holly, that nearly 52% of Americans don't have money put away for retirement? I mean, I saw that latest statistic, and I wanted to ask you that. Is that the case?
It's true. It's really scary because somehow after the next generation, Generation X, which I'm part of, and a lot of us are part of, we have the most amount of education, the most amount of divorces and single parents, and the worst amount of savings. I don't know what happened to this generation, but there's not enough savings, and a lot of people are making 6 digits and have no money to show for it. These are things that I see in my practice all the time.
Well, I can relate to you. I am a Generation Xer as well, and I have children who are the millennials as they're going now, and trying to teach them financially to be smart with saving and whatnot is almost impossible. There is a mentality right now that everything is instant.
Right.
How do you get
instant gratification?
Yeah, how do you get the millennials now to invest, especially when there's all this up and down with the stock market?
Well, that's the problem. They're looking at their parents and they're saying, okay, a great deal of Generation X really doesn't like their job. They're stuck in commutes all the time. So when I deal with a lot of millennials, which I do, that's the thing. They don't want to be like Generation X. So they're kind of, fighting against that and trying to create their own rules. So I really, truly believe that they are going to create a better way. But sometimes before you can create a better way, you have to break down the current system. So that's why with millennials they're so fascinating, because in some ways they save a higher percentage of their checks. So it's not that they have a lot of savings yet, but they're realizing that they do need to put money aside. But at the same time, these kids are getting out of college with massive student loan debt. We all know that. And a lot of times it's very easy for them to get a credit card, even though they don't make enough money to really be able to qualify for one, because the credit card companies just let you fill out the form form and say how much you make.
Yeah.
So they're kind of getting off to a rocky start, but I feel like they really want to pave the way for something better.
Right, I totally agree with you. And Holly, I've been investing my own money. I'm not really good at it. I'm very thankful for you and people like you who do what you do, because you make it a whole lot easier to navigate.
Yeah, it's really important to just break things down and go back to simple, because people have forgotten simple and everything's gotten complicated, and as a result, then people do nothing.
That's right. Holly Signorelli, who is a CPA and financial advisor, I thank you for taking your time to kind of walk us through some of these things.
Absolutely. Have a great one.
Thanks. We'll be back after the break.